just walking my dog on the street, they'd be like hopping out at you. They don't care. That's the thing.
Because I've had some up close and personal moments with rats on 86th Street, and one climbed up my leg. It was gross.
We're here with the families at the Ingersoll houses. They say there are tons of problems. They need answers right away. We're making it happen. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Oh, Daryl Burgess is the Tenant Association president here at the Ingersoll houses, 35 buildings in Fort Greene, Brooklyn. Boy, did you get a crowd together today.
And I have quite a few more people coming out as well.
Burgess says there is a long list of problems here, and when families heard we were coming, they came out to vent. Are you cold?
Sure, I'll be cold. I'll be freezing.
You're freezing.
I'm 80 years old. You know I'll be cold because my blood ain't that strong.
First, several buildings here don't have heat or hot water, but families say that's every winter.
Water's ice cold, no heat, and I called again, and I said I gave them the ticket number, and they said they'll resubmit the ticket, which is ridiculous.
We checked the boilers in the back. They were making plenty of noise, but these families say they don't feel the heat.
And for the last 3.5 days, no heat, no hot water. Yesterday they gave us a little bit of heat, a little hot water. By 6:30 this morning, nothing.
Then we met these three grandmas. All three have the same story. They need repairs.
And I'm on the 6th floor, and the ceiling is like dropping down.
I'm on the 5th floor and the ceiling's coming down. I'm on the 5th floor and the wall is coming down. The ceiling haven't cracked yet, but the wall is cracked.
Then there's this construction outside their building. These families say they never actually see work being done, and it's been more than a year.
The rats are just coming right here.
And it's attracting rats.
They take turns. They go visit from one building to other.
By the way, we met these families on a basketball court. Take a look at that court.
This is the basketball courts. Our children can't even play on the basketball courts because they're horrible.
You know, we reached out to Night Shop. They say they're looking into all of these complaints. We'll be back.
We want answers.
Yeah, we're fighting for you, and if you have a story, reach out to us on Facebook at Monica Morales TV. That's Monica Morales TV. We could be in your neighborhood next. In Fort Greene, Brooklyn, Monica Morales, Pix 11 News.
Thank you. Thank you.
And NYCHA does tell us that there was a short heat and hot water disruption that was restored at 9 a.m. Ingersoll houses will be getting new heating plants by mid-December.
That dream job finally awaits you if you possess some pretty unique and bloodthirsty skills. According to the city's website, you've got to have a swashbuckling attitude, a crafty humor, and full disclosure, rats will hate the job.
If you've got a killer instinct to advance the city's efforts in getting rid of rats, then the director of rodent mitigation may be a job for you. According to the new job post listed under the Office of Deputy Mayor for Operations, a background in urban planning, project management, and government is a plus. And most importantly, a drive and determination to fight the city's, quote, real enemy. Mayor Eric Adams recently signed 4 bills to fight rats and build a cleaner city. The city's rat action plan requires rodent-proof bins and buildings designated by the city to have a rat infestation, and it requires large construction projects to have an exterminator on site. Plus, starting next year, trash bags will not be allowed at the curb until 8 p.m. Some New Yorkers are unsure if these measures will rid the city of its relentless rat population.
The rat problem is so bad, I don't think it will be any less than it has been.
The rat problem it's pretty bad. I see rats every day. Yeah.
Perhaps a director of rodent mitigation is the solution in increasing cleanliness and preventing pestilence.
Rats do something to traumatize you and you never live through it. And I hate rats.
The director of rodent mitigation will report to the deputy mayor for operations in Mayor Adams' office. Get this, the job pays $120,000 to $170,000.
Curtis Sliwa was the 2021 Republican nominee for mayor, says that feral cats are the solution. Sliwa spoke in front of Adams' rental property in Brooklyn, which recently received a second citation for rats. He said pairs of feral cats will keep the rodent population down.
Yeah, Sliwa says the technique is used in several European cities and is safer and more efficient than traps and poison.
At night, especially when everybody else is going to sleep, the cats who are nocturnal are up They're patrolling up and down. They're checking every nook, cranny, and corner. The rats can smell them. The mice can smell them. And I guarantee that they will stay away, at least in this section of Lafayette.
Mayor Adams responded to Sliwa's proposal, saying if he's offering his rat services for free, he's welcome to join the effort.
Winning the war against its public enemy number one, rats. And now the city is taking its fight against rodents one step further by requiring all businesses to invest in new trash containers.
Yeah, those new bins will prevent garbage bags from piling up on city streets. Businesses have 6 months to get those containers before they start facing those fines. Joining us this morning to talk about this and more, Mayor Eric Adams and Sanitation Commissioner Jessica Tisch. So good morning to both of you.
Thank you. Good morning.
And let's begin, Mayor and Commissioner. Congratulations on slowly winning the war against the arch nemesis here, public enemy number one, which are the rats. Let's talk about the communities that you're seeing the most decline and decrease in the rat complaints and rat sightings across the city.
We are seeing big declines citywide, 20% citywide last summer compared to the summer before. But in particular, we're seeing the biggest gains in our rat mitigation zones, which tend to be the highest density parts of the city. There, we're seeing a 45% decline compared to the same numbers last summer. And it's just so obvious. You take the rat food off the street, you put it in a container, and it should be no surprise to anyone that it works.
Yeah, Mayor Adams, you must be happy about that. I know how much you love them.
That's right. You know, I know people don't realize it, but I hate rats. And, and it's just, this is really, we're 20 years behind other modern cities, but this is revolutionary for New York. I was extremely excited when the commissioner first rolled out this plan. Some people thought it was going to take 44 years and even longer. But think about it. We are 21, 22 months into our administration, and this is part of our overall quality of life pursuit. And you're going to see a big difference in the city. We're going to be the cleanest big city in America.
We like that, but Mayor, you know, the city's also testing out the pilot program for these trash containers in residential areas, right? And Commissioner, you're all on top of this one. You know, there are people who are going to push back and say, okay, that sounds great, yes, but then there's the parking space issue, right? Taking away some of the parking spaces from some of these communities who have already lost them. What do you say to that?
Well, well, first of all, this is New York. 8.3 million people, 35 million opinions. No matter what you do, New York is going to push back. But the commissioner has been clear of if they push back, we are not going to fall back. The city must be clean, the hygiene, the appearance. And I think the plan that the commissioner is going to share with you is the right way to go.
Yeah, so how many, do you have a percentage of how many of these businesses are already using these bins? And can you explain also the fines that go into place once if they don't follow the
Sure.
rules?
We've actually rolled out the business requirements in phases. We started with food-related businesses, restaurants, bodegas, bars, delis. That's about 25% of the businesses in New York City. And then we added on top of that more recently chain stores. So we have about 30% that are already fully containerized. But remember, our set out times that we put in place last April, they already incentivized all businesses to use containers because no black bags are allowed on our curbs before 8 p.m. So I think we really have about 60% of businesses that are already complying with the container rules, and this just closes the gap of the last 40.
And the fines?
And the fines start at $50. They go up to $100 for your second offense, $200 for the third, but we do a very robust 1 month warning period before we start giving out fines.
And that'll be for the residential buildings as well?
It's the same fine structure for the residential buildings, although no residential rules have yet gone into effect.
Understood.
Talk about the city's rat problem.
Just walking my dog on the street, they'd be like hopping out at you. They don't care. That's the thing.
Because I've had some up close and personal moments with rats on 86th Street, and one climbed up my leg. It was gross.
Exterminator Matt Diodato is blowing smoke straight into the rat dens. More specifically, he's pumping carbon monoxide into the hundreds of sidewalk tree boxes along East 86th Street, killing most of the rats underground.
A lot of times people think this is people. You see the candy wrappers by the openings of the holes? Here, right there. That's rats.
Matt says only a handful of exterminators in the city use these carbon monoxide machines because they're pricey, about $3,000 a pop. But unlike the black poison boxes that rats have largely learned to avoid, he says this method has long-term success.
This area was over 100 and something boroughs that we treated. I would average it 90 to 95% success.
Councilmember Julie Menon brought Matt in last year to tackle a growing rodent problem in her Upper East Side district.
And so we did extensive research and we found out that Boston and San Diego were utilizing a technique that uses carbon monoxide in the tree pits.
After a few treatments, Matt says the rats will be gone for good if businesses and neighbors properly store their garbage and use materials like steel wire mesh to keep rats from reburrowing. He compares keeping rats away with going to the dentist.
You got to take care of your teeth. You don't brush, you don't take care, you're going to get cavities. That's what we tell people.
Now let's turn to the big part of the city's war on rats. It's getting our trash into containers.
Yeah, now a fight is brewing about who should be fined if it's not done right.
Yeah, Eileen LaPalmer joins us live from Long Island City with more on this one. Eileen.
Well, many of these trash cans on city corners are maintained by business improvement districts. And now some are saying they are an unintended consequence of the casualty of the city's war on rats, saying they fear they will be fined if someone dumps garbage next to these bins.
You probably don't give it much thought when you're walking by an overflowing garbage can on a street corner. But who is dealing with the trash in these public cans? In many neighborhoods, it's your local business improvement district.
If the trash cans are overflowing, we'll tie up the bag and leave it next to the can for sanitation to pick up.
But Laura Rothrock, the president of the Long Island City Bid, says they've been told that has to change under the next phase of the city's containerization plan.
What sanitation is telling us now is that we will be fined for any bags of public trash that are left next to the public containers.
And she says having to buy new bins for the trash stinks for them.
Our budgets are capped by legislation, so we can't even increase our total budgets if we wanted to.
The city sanitation department tells Pix 11 News that no business improvement district will be fined for randomly dumped garbage by other people, and that they are working with the bids to figure out the next phase of containers. Josh Goodman, a deputy sanitation commissioner, addressed the city council on this issue last week.
And I know there's been a lot of anxiety and potentially misinformation about it. The idea is to develop a solution that works for every bid to just meet a simple goal of no bags on the street.
The deputy director of the Fordham Road Business Improvement District hopes the solution is fair.
We're not necessarily opposed to containerization if we had funding for it. The problem is we don't have funding for it.
Residents like Andrita says she's noticed fewer rats in commercial areas like Queens Plaza, but adds,
as far as the fines, that's a little excessive, but we have to come up, I guess, with a plan together.
And the city sanitation department says that a draft proposal of these changes will be out by the end of the year, but that conversations will continue with the business improvement districts and that no fines will be coming before August of 2025. We are live here in Long Island City. Eileen LaPalmer, Pix 11 News. Corey.
All right, Eileen.
So let's talk about first and foremost what exactly the new rules are, who they apply to, and why now.
So starting this week, all residential buildings of 1 to 9 units, that's everything from the single family home up to the 9-unit brownstone, have to place their trash out for pickup in containers rather than in bags directly on the curbs.
So what does that mean for the actual owner of the apartment in the residential building or the renter? Are they just still throwing their trash down the chute and it's the landlord who's responsible for putting it in the bin?
Yeah, so every building is different and it depends on who puts the trash out. But the requirement is on the property owner, so the individual tenant won't get fined or summoned, and the property owner has to ensure that the trash goes out in a container rather than in bags directly on the streets. And obviously, this is part of our war on rats.
Yes.
We hate rats in this administration, and we know that the single best thing we can do as part of that war on rats is get the rat food off the streets.
So let me ask, you brought up the rats, so let's go there for a second, because this already was in effect for businesses and restaurants and things like that, right? With that being containerized, have you been able to measure a decrease in the rat population, and how are you looking at that in terms of metrics?
So let me give you a great piece of data. We did a pilot of residential containerization of trash on 10 blocks in West Harlem.
Okay.
Happens to be a rat mitigation zone where the rat problems historically have been profound. And over the course of 1 year on those 10 blocks, we saw a 60% decrease in rat sightings through 311 on those 10 blocks.
How are you measuring that? Just calls to 311?
Calls to 311, compared to the rest of the district, which remained flat. And so we know that containerization of trash, getting the rat food off the streets, is a strategy that is big and works.
So do you believe it's truly a less rat populated street, or is it just that people aren't picking up the phone and calling 311?
Oh, no, without any doubt. It is a less rat populated street. If you speak to the tenants or the homeowners on those streets, they will tell you that they see fewer rats on the street.
I guess that, if we could just go way back for a second, this may sound like a silly question, but why did it take so long for the city to actually containerize trash?
It's been 50 years.
Yeah.
Since we last had residential container mandates in New York City. And I think my best answer to that is it really took Mayor Adams, who had the political will to do it. It's hard to ask every residents and every business in the city to change the way they do something 2 or 3 times a week. And he really believed in it. He believes in bringing dignity and order back to every street, every borough, every neighborhood in this city. And this trash revolution, as we call it, is a big part of that effort.
So by June of 2026, correct me if I'm wrong here, all small building property owners will be required to have that official New York City bin, right? Those are $45. So they have to buy it.
They have to buy it.
Is there a reason why it can't be provided free to some of these buildings and why they have to actually purchase it?
Yeah, so let's put this in context. Many of those businesses, I'd like to say most, already use containers.
Okay.
If you go to parts of Staten Island, parts of Eastern Queens, where there are lots of single-family homes, most single-family homeowners in New York City already put their trash out in containers. So it is a standard thing you see in cities and, in fact, in big parts of New York City.
Yeah.
We also worked really hard to make sure that the bins would be affordable for New Yorkers. So if you go to a Home Depot or any other hardware store, this bin is the cheapest bin of its quality on the market by far.
Okay.
It's about half the price of a standard bin that you could otherwise buy.
So for those, again, for those who may not be able to afford the bin, who say, well, I can't afford it, I have the one already, can I just keep this one? Are they going to be fined?
So this is a requirement of all residences and all businesses. And importantly, this is a requirement for the property owner, not for the individual tenant. If you look at, for example, a 9-unit building, they probably need about 2 pails. Whoever owns that 9-unit property will be responsible for providing the pails to the tenants.
Right.
And also, I'd say this is something that is standard around the world. New York City is not going to be the first city to put our trash in containers. In fact, we are going to be the last.
Right, exactly. So are the rules for those smaller buildings the same as the rules for larger buildings and the businesses?
So the rules for the small buildings and the businesses are very similar. And that is, you got to put your trash in a container. For larger buildings, those small wheelie bins that we're using for smaller buildings, they're just too small for those big mounds of trash. And so for the larger buildings, we're doing a different solution. We're putting these fixed on-street containers like you see in parts of Europe, parts of South America, parts of Asia, in the parking lane. And we're starting, they're 4 cubic yards, and they're hoisted by a special fleet of trucks. We're starting with our first district this spring. In May of next year, and that will be in West Harlem, in Manhattan Community Board 9. And I want to be clear, we are going after 100% of the trash. As of now, over the last year, 70% of the trash in New York City has come under container mandate.
Okay, and recycling, is that part of this?
No, recycling is not part of it. And we wanted to be really thoughtful. First, we wanted to keep the costs down for New Yorkers, so they have to buy fewer pails.
Okay.
Second, we figured recycling is something that goes out once a week, and it tends to be the less gross stuff, the stuff that doesn't really attract the rats, the metal, glass, plastic, and the paper, cardboard. And so this is specifically, these mandates are specifically focused on trash and obviously also compost.
Now, just to go back to something you said a second ago, the bins are going to be placed in lanes. Is that going to take away parking? Because then that's going to be a whole other conversation.
The large bins for the larger buildings of 30 units and up will be placed in the parking lane. We did an environmental study of Manhattan 9, because that's where we're starting in the spring, and we found that it takes up about 2 to 3% of parking, these large on-street containers.
So those communities will lose 3 parking spots.
Will lose about 3% of their parking.
Okay, and have you heard about that? Are people upset about it?
Oh, we go to community board meetings. We are being as transparent as possible with communities as we roll out these container mandates. But that's another reason why we decided to use the individual bins, both for the businesses and the smaller buildings. Takes up less parking.
Okay. Do you ever get tired of talking trash?
I love talking trash.
Okay.
I could talk trash with you all day.
All right. The rats are one thing. Can we go after cockroaches next?
Oh.
That's a different
Next time I'm on.
Different conversation, for they survive anything. Jessica Tisch, great to have you here, Commissioner. Thank you so much.